I've talked about it before, but one of the things that is important to look at with this upcoming election is the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court does need fixing. There are major issues within the court. Do we expand it? Do we add term limits? How do we fix the court? There's a lot to do there. But something else you need to consider is the upcoming president could replace two or three justices out of that court. You've got Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. One is 76, one is 74. I think Thomas is 76. Then you got John Roberts, who is 70. That's three conservative justices who could potentially all decide to retire should Donald Trump get the presidency and be able to confirm or appoint up to three justices. So we need to make sure Kamala Harris is in the White House. We need a Democrat in the White House to appoint justices. We do not need more justices that are in the mold of Alito and Thomas, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch. They're the ones that overturned Roe. They're the ones that tossed out affirmative action. They're the ones that have overturned the Chevron doctrine. They keep tossing out precedent like it's nothing, and they're just making rulings. They're the ones that granted Donald Trump this presidential immunity thing that was never a thing before and isn't found anywhere, but they made it up. We can't have them appoint more justices like these guys. And Donald Trump would. And they'd probably appoint far worse judges than that. Could you imagine them appointing somebody much younger than Clarence Thomas, who's just like him or worse, and they could be on the court for 20 or 30 years? That's terrifying. Now, there's a chance that if we elect Kamala Harris and they don't do anything with the Supreme Court, that Thomas, Alito, and Roberts, they don't retire, they don't do anything. But odds are, if we get enough done, Kamala Harris wins a second term, and then within 8 years, there's a good chance she gets to replace those justices. They're getting up there in age. We don't know what might happen. Keeping in mind the Supreme Court when you're making your decision for president as to who do you want and what kind of justices do you want appointed. Do you want people like Clarence Thomas, who have taken $4 million from billionaire benefactors? Somebody like Samuel Alito, who has flown the upside down flag in support of January 6th rioters and the Appeal to Heaven flag, basically calling for rebellion. People like that, do you want more of them on the Supreme Court? Or do you want justices like Ketanji Brown Jackson, who are qualified and will put the Constitution and the rights of people over their own personal ideologies and actually bring some legitimacy back to the Supreme Court? So I'm hoping Kamala Harris wins. I think she will. We have to give her a favorable House, and we have to let her keep the Senate, because if she loses the Senate and Republicans have control, they will try to block anything she tries to pass, as well as any Supreme Court nominations that should come up. She needs a Senate as well. And Republicans are talking about potentially being able to replace justices, which means they probably have some inside knowledge that these people could retire. So just keep in mind of who would be replacing them should something happen. And I hope it's Kamala Harris.